JD back here with another workout, and today I've got a special one for you because everybody asks me, why do I do so much cables for my chest instead of doing barbell pressing or dumbbell pressing or machines or hammer strength? And I do those things, but you always see me on the cables just like drilling myself with different angles, different variants. And the reason that cables are so powerful for chest, especially for cable flies, is because I can control the angle and vector of force. So unlike dumbbells where that vector of force is always going down through the floor, with cables I can control what direction that vector of force is coming from, whether it be from low to high, high to low, middle, and I can still get peak contraction in the middle of my reps. Sorry, you can go ahead. You're good. So what I'm going to walk you guys through is my mentality behind why I'm doing different variants with different tempos and different form. So I'm going to give you guys my top 5 cable chest variants. Without further ado, let's get into it. Exercise number 1, one of my favorite starting exercise is a mid-chest cable fly, where I'm really focusing on that inner chest squeeze. And I don't know why I do this. People notice I do this, is that when I demonstrate something, even if it's just like with my hands, I like do the face where I'm trying. I think it's just like my way of like almost commiserating with people, or showing like that I'm like with them when I'm showing them how to do something, because I want them to feel like, okay, they're working hard. So I don't want you to ever think that I'm not working hard with you. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna step out. We're gonna open up that chest. So everything is always good range of motion. I'm stretching and opening that fascia before driving out and squeezing through that mid chest. So I have the cables at about not the fullest height. The other thing that I do with my cable flies is, see how I track my elbows in line with the cable. So I'm not below. I see a lot of people do flies here and they'll drop their elbows underneath. Keep your elbows, track it with the angle. So I'm not over the top, I'm not below it. I track in the exact angle of that cable. So I'm here, pushing through, holding that peak contraction. So what I was mentioning to you guys earlier is the reason that cables are so good is I still have tension on the chest, because the cables are coming from the side. They're not coming from the floor. So that vector of force, I still have a ton of contraction. You see that squeeze in the middle of my rep. See how I still have so much tension on the chest? As opposed to a dumbbell, if I were holding them here, if I was lying on a bench, I'd have no tension in the chest. Big stretch, half, I would say 2/3 of the work you're gonna get from doing flies like this is that stretch there. You're opening up that fascia to work. So when you get here, squeeze through. Slow on that eccentric, and you just see my whole chest working on these guys. Pushing through, squeezing. And so another thing worth mentioning is I do so much cable work too, because I've had my fair share of bench press injuries. This is 8+ years ago. And the most surprising thing that people, when I tell them, is I really haven't bench pressed in like 6-7 years. And the reason for that is not because I hate the movement per se, but the risk reward profile for me personally wasn't there. I wasn't getting enjoyment out of the movement. I was feeling a lot of shoulder pain after doing it, during doing it. And so I was like, Eric, if I'm not doing a powerlifting competition, why am I so worried about how much I push on the bench press? I don't care. So I stopped bench pressing, and it was like life-changing. I was like, oh, I can do flies. I can do dumbbell flies, cable flies. I don't even have to touch the bench press. My chest has exploded since, because with bench press, you're gonna utilize a lot of different muscle groups. You can use your lats, your triceps, your shoulders to drive through that weight. So you're also gonna have to use heavier load because you have so many ancillary movers. With cables, you're putting your chest on an island. It's a very safe efficacy, it has a lot of efficacy. You're gonna get a lot of pump, crazy contractions. So that is my exercise number 1 of 5. Let's get into number 2. Okay, exercise number 2. We're going to do a cross-center mass movement pattern. So what I mean by cross-center mass is that we're actually gonna go across our midline. And so the reason this is so effective is because when somebody says flex your chest, right? A lot of times you're gonna go like this, right? And cross your hands over. The reason you do that without thinking about it is because you're actually getting more contraction by crossing the hands across each other than if you were to go like this, right? here. See the difference? Squeezing here versus here. So the same principle applies for your exercise, is that I'm gonna go a downward crossover fly, and I'm gonna go nice and low to the ground. I'm gonna go nice wide base with the feet. Let me not break an ankle here. So you see I'm gonna be here, nice and low, and we're gonna go one at a time, go cross body and squeeze at the bottom of the rep. Up, alternate and squeeze. You see how much contraction I get when I cross over that center middle line. So I'm not tossing it across with my shoulder. I'm keeping the chest nice and proud, even though I'm low. And you see I'm getting a ton of, when I come across here, you'll see that feathering, that cross striation in my chest as I come across and squeeze. Same thing with the other side. When I come across to the right, you'll see it. That cross striation, that feathering, squeezing through. So I'm gonna get a 2 to 3 count hold. So I'm doing a little slower than I would normally because I wanna give you guys the, obviously, demonstration, but this would be about the tempo I'd hit this. Slow eccentric, find that pocket with the other arm, through and squeeze, through and squeeze. This is great exercise, obviously, to really work on that midline chest. It's something that a lot of guys lack because they're so focused on pressing, which is gonna be a lot more pec minor, which is through here. To get that inner chest, that pec major all the way through that midline, you're gonna need to do some sort of fly movements, big squeezing contraction movements to really build up that inner upper chest. Exercise number 3, we're gonna go still top position here. Arguably, you could say these are moving away from a fly and more towards a supinated press. What we're gonna do is a supinated, palms up. We're gonna push out and we're gonna really target that inner upper chest by turning our hands into a V and squeezing together in the middle of the rep, coming back, big stretch, driving through and squeeze. So you can see it's not quite a fly because I'm not here, but you'll see what I'm talking about here. You can turn it into more of a fly, but the really important part of this is that peak contraction point. I'm gonna step forward, see how my palms are up, turning those hands into a V at the bottom of the rep. So you see how I have that V positioning, and look in the mirror safe, look at that contraction in my upper chest. You see that? It's all chest right there. So I'm gonna come back, big stretch. You can literally see those muscles firing, feathering across. Big stretch. See how I open that shit up to work? Now I dig it in. Squeeze. Slow on that eccentric. Big open, stretch it out. Push through. Hands in the V, squeeze, and you should feel your hands shaking, your chest shaking. Slow on that negative eccentric. Big range of motion. When I do this, I open up my shoulders so much and my chest so much that I feel like I never get shoulder pain anymore. This feels really good to me. Like, this used to feel like death because it was so painful. And now I've just spent so much time doing my reps like this that my shoulders are so healthy, my chest is so healthy, I don't have any more problems. So I'm gonna push through, squeeze. One of my favorite movements, guys, for chest. And proof is in the pudding. Obviously, my chest has grown so much. I haven't done a bench press in 6-7 years, but I'm gonna show you the opposite result of benching. See this right here? See how it comes across? I've got here, and also here you'll see a little bit of scar tissue coming across. It's 2 benching injuries, guys. Literally, one run on the right, one on the left. I was lucky it wasn't a full tear, it was just micro tears. Still felt a little, and that's not a fun place to be. So I'm not saying don't bench press, and I don't want you guys to think that. It's more of like, for me, I'm just trying to show you guys risk-reward trade-off. If you're most focused on hypertrophy, if you get a ton of joy out of bench pressing and progressive overload, don't stop doing it. If it's something that you like doing, but you have to be hyper-focused on your mobility, on your warm-ups. With this stuff, I'm not gonna hurt myself. I can come in on a bad day, cold. I'm not gonna tear my chest doing pec flies, right? So that's the only reason I like doing them, is because I get a crazy amount of results from them. They're very high reward to risk profile. And honestly, it really is blowing up my chest. My chest was kind of flat when I was doing a ton of benching. This was when I could bench 455, 475. I don't even think I can get close to that, but my chest is 10 times as big. So there's a difference between strength and hypertrophy. And I want you guys to always realize that. So that is exercise number 3. Let's get into number 4. We got the famous, maybe infamous, incline chest cable fly. This is probably one of the most improperly performed exercise I see. It's really hard to do correctly. And the reason for that is because you have a tendency to take over with your front delts, with your biceps, because you're trying to go too high, you're trying to use too much elbow bend. Here's how to perform incline chest cable flies correctly. So what I want to see you do is step out, and I want you to start with an alternating. So you'll be able to work your way up to a dual, basically both at once. What I want to see to start is a forward lean, nice proud chest. We're going to come up and slightly across center. So here, you see how I come and I basically want to push like I'm hitting my chest to my chin and just above eye level with the handle. A lot of people come too high. You literally want to come to where the handle is about the level of your eyes. I'm going to switch sides, create tension here, up and squeeze. And I'm just going to show you a bunch of reps with my left hand because I want you guys to see that engagement. Do you see that engagement in my upper chest? I'm going to move this over. See how much contraction I'm getting. You see I'm slightly turning my body inward so I can get even more isolation on that left side. Eventually, you'll get that feeling, you'll understand it enough that then we can come here, good posture, forward lean. Ooh. Big stretch, you see that? Do you see that right there where get that big stretch of the chest? Tension's still in the chest. Squeeze. You get some failure reps at the end. And honestly, that looks pretty insane. But I'm not gonna lie. So like, that's the thing, is I'm not doing a ton of weight, but you saw there's a difference between intensity and lifting heavy. I'm lifting there with a lot of intensity. I wanted to show you guys that I'm still really being conscious of really squeezing, moving the weight in a very proficient way without having to go 100 pounds on the stack. Taking that mentality and think, am I working harder or am I working smarter and with more intensity? And that's when you're gonna see a lot more results. So that's exercise number 4. Let's finish off with one more. All right, guys, exercise number 5, we're gonna do an incline bench cable fly. And this one's really, really awesome because it's a complete isolation and it simulates a incline chest fly without having to use dumbbells, which I don't think you should completely eliminate, but I'll show you why this has maybe a little bit more proficiency and effectiveness when it comes to hitting your chest. So I'm gonna grab left, I'm gonna step around the back of the bench, grab right, just come around, toss the leg over, try not to smash my face against the mirror. So obviously I've got this bench on about roughly 45 degrees. I want to make sure I move the bench far enough forward that when I stretch, I'm not going to bottom out the cables. I'm going to fly up, squeeze in the middle of my rep. So you see here, I still have tension on the chest with a dumbbell. I wouldn't have any tension left because the weight's directly overhead. I'd be here. I would have no tension on the chest. Here, still have tension. Big open arch in the back. Squeeze. And you can see how much stretch I'm getting on these. These are some of my favorite flies. I know I keep saying that, but I have a lot of favorites. Just being at the gym is my favorite, to be honest. Big stretch, squeeze. Another fun variant if you guys want to try it, it's a little more advanced. It's basically called around the world. I'm gonna come back here, open up, rotate around, and then push forward and underneath. Squeezing here, coming back around, down and up. Big stretch, opening up the chest. Up here, hitting upper chest. Come back down and around. Big stretch, push through. Squeeze. Back down. Stretch, open, open, open. Up and around. Guys, if you're not having as much fun as I am training, find some other training program, find something, follow these workouts, because however you train, I found a way that I love to do it. Like, Safe wouldn't have to be here. If Safe wasn't here, I'd probably just be like, dude, these are feeling so good, I'm just gonna do like 5 more sets. But because he's here and I gotta get through this video, I am going to obviously wrap this up, because I know you guys are sick of hearing from me about cable flies and the efficacy of using good form. But what I want you guys to take away from the video is using more cables, 1, because they're great. Number 2, slowing down your movement patterns. Number 3, focusing on range of motion and peak contraction point. And number 4, leaving your ego at the door, because with chest especially, it's like the most peacock exercise. How many times has people been like, yo, how much you bench, bro? I get that question probably 5 times a day. But if I don't even answer. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, I used to do this, whatever. Because it's not even worth me having the conversation. Well, I've been benching 6 or 7 years, like, whoa, mind blown. Then I have to have the whole conversation I don't feel like having, but I'm gonna have it with you guys because I care about you and I love you. So if that is not enough reason to subscribe to my channel, I don't know what is. So hope you guys love this video. I'm gonna be trying to somehow get out of this bench. I'm like stuck to the wall right now, but the things I do for you guys. All right, but I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you took a lot of information out of it, and I hope that you guys are gonna start incorporating this stuff in your workouts. Without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video.